Welcome to the Thornton Review, the show designed with you in mind. If it's important to you, it's important to us. Bobby Williams is a third-generation Floridian born and raised in West Palm Beach, Florida. He works as an education specialist and community leader. Bobby has been active in communities across Florida through the Freedom Tour, a nonprofit focused on distributing goods, which has moved over 20 million pounds of relief, particularly during hurricane responses. The Freedom Tour is a mobile disaster relief that provides food, essential supplies, and support directly to underserved individuals and families. Bobby and his wife of 25 years are loving parents of their daughter. He loves the outdoors and hunting. Bobby is not a career politician. He's a working man with a long record of showing up for people and delegating services where needed. Hi, I'm Pueschel Schneier, executive producer and manager of the Thornton Review. Thank you for tuning in. On today's show, we have Bobby Williams, candidate for Florida governor. So Bobby, it's really nice to have you in the studio today. Thank you for carving time out of your important, your busy traveling schedule to come and sit down and have a conversation with me. Will you please introduce yourself?
Yes, ma'am. Bobby Williams, third generation Floridian. Obviously been born and raised in Winter Haven, Florida, Polk County, Florida, my whole life. Born mother of 14 when she had my brother, 17 when she had me, very impoverished. And just like everybody else, wanted to live the American dream. And 25, started a business, got very successful at it. At 32, had an encounter with Jesus because I wasn't raised in a church, had no church foundation at all. Radically changed my life. I come home from a hunting trip, started doing what every Christian should do, go to church. But in church, I learned they don't do nothing there either. Sit in a room, talk about issues and problems, and nothing ever happened. So in 2016, I started a ministry called the Freedom Tour, Food Disaster Relief. Started going to the projects, worst to worst, prostitutes, drugs, all that kind of stuff, and started seeing lives change, communities change. COVID hits 2020. I didn't social distance. I didn't mask. I didn't do none of that, shot nothing. And started feeding 1,500 people a day. And food resources just poured in. Since then to now, we've moved over 100 million pounds of product. If you had to buy it, 350 million gift in kind, and just continue to work with the community and change lives and make a difference.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes,
thank you for doing all of that. Yes. You've done a lot.
Yes, it's continuous.
So we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we will begin our discussion with Bobby Williams, candidate for Florida governor.
Hey everybody, Bobby Williams here, running for governor as a conservative Republican. We got to get back to we the people instead of we the lobbyists and we the big corporations. We got to appoint people on these boards, whether it's electrical, utility, insurance, that's going to have a voice for you. We keep seeing rate increases all across the board. Why? Because the people on these boards really don't have your heart. But for the last 10 years, I run a ministry called the Freedom Tour, Food Disaster Relief. Really going out in communities, reaching people to the worst of worst, not just the easiest or the best, but where it was needed. So for the last 10 years, we put over 100 million pounds of product. If you had to buy that, 350 million gift in kind into our community for free. Not asking for taxpayers to pay for anything. It was about being a blessing. That's my heart. That's my heart for the people. I've worked with over 500 different agencies and ministries across the state of Florida in these worst times. While other guys were social distancing, masking, not wanting to show up, taking shots, I was out in the streets feeding over 1,500 people a day. That's what I want to continue to do for Florida. Bring this experience to Floridians, to the taxpayers, so we can better Florida. Because Florida's full. We've had enough. We had enough corruption. We have enough waste. We had enough of fraud. We've had enough of developers destroying Florida. We've had enough of our waters being destroyed. So that's experience I want to bring to Florida, to be a blessing to Florida.
There is no government-funded program that can guide a man's thoughts. Only God can do that. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button right now. Be sure to like the video and hit the notification bell so you never miss a great guest. We provide this content as a public service, and it helps our channel when you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. You can watch us at our YouTube channel, The Thornton Review, at The Thornton Review 7810, our website, thethorntonreview.com, on Vimeo. Please follow The Thornton Review. Please like our Facebook page, The Thornton Review Show, on TV, WBQP Channel 12, and WBQP on Roku and Fire Stick. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to begin our discussion with Bobby Williams, candidate for Florida Governor 2026. So, Bobby, what is the very reason you decided to run for governor? What is the spark that said, I'm going to run for governor and I'm going to win?
Wasn't no spark. It was the voice of God. He told me to run, but it took him 2 years not to convince me in a sense of it's him. It was convince me in a sense of I don't want to, nothing never be about me. You know, I lived 32 years for me. He radically changed my life. So I know what it's like to live for me and then live for him. So a lot of people want to run for governor for memes, clicks, you know, fame, whatever that is, power, money. For me, he had to convince me. So it took him 2 years really just convince me, and just things happened and over and over and over. And I had two things really solidified it in the last 2 years. One, we do turkey drives, food drives with Sheriff Grady Judd. A lot of people know him, pretty famous as in his arena. And
I may have seen him on Facebook.
You may have.
Yeah, I probably did.
Yeah, he's very.
I probably see him a lot. I'm probably following him actually.
Yes. Yeah, he's very.
It's the same person.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
He's very. Every day he's on. He's a.
I like him.
They say that the most dangerous place to be in the world is between him and a camera.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So he likes the camera. So he says that. So
but he's got really good ideas.
Oh, he does.
He's got
solid ideas and no nonsense.
Right.
And that's what we need law enforcement. Yeah, exactly. You know, we get so politically correct, and so you can't say this, and and everybody gets offended. And the law is the law. You know, we have to stand for that and stand for have a foundation and a moral compass foundation. And he has
law
that.
and order. Yeah, I definitely stand for law and order. We absolutely need that in our nation and state.
100%. And that's where we got to get back to, you know, and that's one thing I believe in my campaign is, you know, we got to get God back in government, God back in schools, you know, get that moral compass back where it needs to be. But so I'm sitting there, we do turkey drives, we do a lot of stuff with them every day. Because my job too is to bring law enforcement into areas of society that don't like law enforcement. So build that gap and build that relationship between them, knowing these law enforcement guys are good guys. They're family members, they're moms, dads, sisters, brothers, grandparents, so many things. So we do that. So we're doing a turkey drive with him in 2024, a couple of weeks before Thanksgiving. I've been doing it for many years. And big article come out about him, about how much money he made and all this kind of stuff. So I was joking and kidding with him. I said, man, I might need to run sheriff, $250,000 a year. That's a good gig. And he laughed and he looked at me, and we're sitting in front of hundreds of people, and he said, they'd vote for you. I'm like, okay. So that was in November. Then January 2025, when Trump come into office, you know, because my issue with running for governor is we all know the corruption. We all see it. It's in front of our face. It's so, I mean, right now, they'll spell it out to you. But what can we do? Nothing ever happens. No accountability.
Well, a lot of things that happens is, you know, elected officials will say, if you give them an example of waste, fraud, or abuse, they'll say, well, that's just small. And then they'll change the subject and start talking about something else.
Right.
They've done that to me. But that small thing is one thing. If you add literally everything up in a Escambia County, talking about Escambia County, it equals a lot.
Yeah.
If you add everything up across the state, it equals billions of dollars. There is waste, fraud, and abuse. And one of the big things that came out just yesterday in the local news was the school board found that there are, I don't know how many, 335 students who are receiving vouchers to go to private schools, but they're enrolled in public school.
Wow.
And so the public school system is not getting funding for those students who have vouchers to go to the private schools. And I guess the private schools aren't catching it. They're not
Yeah.
saying, wait a minute, we're getting
Right.
paid for this, but we don't have this student enrolled, which they should be. They should be honest
Right.
and they should be on top of their own auditing.
You would think.
They're maybe just not auditing their own records
Right.
correctly. I don't want to accuse them of fraud
Yeah.
or anything like that. Could be going on. I don't know.
Right.
But that's just one example of like $35 million that Escambia County Schools is not getting.
Yeah, where's accountability?
Right.
And I say this everywhere I go. We usually say the pledge and say a prayer,
Mm-hmm.
and it's one nation under God,
Mm-hmm.
and we got to get God back in government, God back in schools. But another thing I say is, for too long we vote in the least of two evils. How much evil is too much evil? 1% is too much for me,
Right.
and that's what we're on relate to. You were saying it's only a little. Well, a little evil is too much evil. We can't. If you allow the little, we know what happens.
It'll add up.
Well, you say, you give me an inch, they take a what?
A mile.
Yeah. So let's quit allowing putting up with the little. Enough's enough.
Yeah. And if we get rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse, we could get rid of property tax, eliminate the waste, fraud, and abuse. And I'm not saying, point out who's doing the fraud. I'm just saying eliminate it. Just let them do it.
I 100% agree with you. I'm against the property tax. I think we need no property tax. And you see it right now, Doge running across the state, millions, hundred millions, billions of dollars in waste and fraud. That would take care of the property tax.
Yeah, it's being pointed out, but is it anything actually being done with it? Is the money being put back into the pot?
No, it's the same deal.
So it's just being pointed out, but then they're still raising our property taxes.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
So I use this as a perfect example: is if you got a spoiled, rotten kid who has access to mommy and daddy's credit card, when will he ever quit spending?
Mm-hmm.
Never will.
Right.
So until we take this property tax away from them, they'll never quit spending. I mean, that's the thing with the government right now is they put everything in our face. They talk about the fraud, the waste, and abuse, but nothing never happens.
Right. So, for example, the school board is $35 million in the hole right now because they have those students enrolled in the schools who are getting vouchers to go to a private school.
Right.
So the private school is getting that money. In the meantime, Escambia County School Board just voted to raise our property taxes because they have to make up for that $5 million.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I should not have to pay for those kids to go to private school when they're not going to private school.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, there's a lot of issues. There's a lot of stuff that's going on that we really have to look at.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my biggest, deals running for governor is accountability.
Mm-hmm.
All across the board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, as a non-elected official, what has been your biggest accomplishment for the community? What have you done to better the community?
Running Freedom Tour.
What is it?
Running the Freedom Tour.
The Freedom Tour?
Yes,
Okay.
the Freedom Tour is food disaster relief ministry I do. Many accomplishments. Like I said earlier, 100 million pounds, 350 million gift in kind. But I would say when I first started my ministry in 2016, then 2018, we took over a church in a municipality called Eloise, and crime rate was huge. Mm-hmm. It wasn't nothing to find 10 to 20 needles in the parking lot.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Now we have zero crime rate in that municipality.
That's great.
Partner with the sheriff's department. Polk County.
Mm-hmm.
Partner with the sheriff's department.
When was he elected?
No, he's been in there for many years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many years.
Mm-hmm.
But we're on the 56-year crime rate, lowering crime rate every year. It's a 56-year low. Every year gets lower and lower and lower. And it's not just, and he says this, Grady says this, it ain't just about the sheriff. He says it takes good people doing good things to make good things happen.
Right.
And it's ministries like mine and other ones. And I say accomplishment, there's many, but one accomplishment of mine, we've done so good at it that people have been duplicating what we do. They come ask, how do you do this? How does this happen? How that? So we've seen a duplication of the ministry we do and touching and changing people's lives and impacting communities.
Because you're actually reaching out to the people who may be committing that crime or may, in the future be committing that crime, but you're kind of redirecting them and showing them something different.
The gospel works, the gospel, God's love, and you show people love and they matter, they have value. Your past don't define you. You know what I'm saying? God really defines you. Sure. So when we go and give them their identity, this is who you are. I don't care what anybody says about you. I don't care what you've done. I don't care about your past. The good news of the gospel is you get to get born again. You get to start over. So let's just forget it and I'd say admit it, quit it, and forget it. It's that easy. Right. Then let's just start from now and move on. And we've watched countless of lives. One of the greatest is probably the tens and thousands of lives we watch change, come off prostitution, watch women getting their kids back, getting their families back. DCF told me you'll never see your kids again, and they get them back, get families back, and families restored. And I go on and on. It's just God's done so much in my life and seen lives change. There's so many good things. I could put one over the other, but that's just one of many.
Mm-hmm. Well, redirecting people and lowering crime is huge.
Yeah.
It's a huge thing.
Well, you only know what you're taught. Mm-hmm. So the problem a lot of times is these people are doing the wrong thing, and all people want to do is call the cops on them. Mm-hmm. They don't want to go and reteach them. Repentance means change the way you think. Well, you got to get around people and teach them how they think. Instead of shunning them out of society, right. Go down there as a ministry, whatever that is, nonprofit, and love on these people and help them, teach them. And we keep calling the law and get them arrested. It never changes. I mean, right now our jails are more full than ever. Right. What good has that done us?
Right, exactly. Well, here in Escambia County, are you talking about some of the homeless issues?
No, it all goes there. It all runs together, from homelessness to drug addicts to prostitution, mm-hmm. to even what we call the projects, low income, right. That nobody's going down there. Nobody's loving them. Nobody's teaching them. And there's some. I deal with homeless every day. We started out really more homeless in the start. I think that's everybody's first. Mm-hmm. Ministries go to the homeless.
Sometimes it's a mental health.
100%. That's what I'm getting at.
And you're able to turn those people.
Yes, we have. But there's some of them that don't want to. Right. Some of them like it.
Rebellious.
They like the life. They like the lifestyle. They're rebellious, and the gospel talks about that. From the book of Matthew and Luke. In Luke, I think it talks about 2 madmen at Gadara encountered Jesus, but only talks about 1 getting free. Right. So
there really is no mental illness. It's rebellion. It's rebellion against.
It's a spirit. Mm-hmm. It's a spirit of rebellion. It's a spirit. We live in a spiritual world, and people don't want to talk about that aspect of what is really.
I call it mental illness because it's so. That's what people.
That's
call
the general.
People need help.
Yes, it's a general thing.
They need the gospel.
Yeah, 100%.
They need to accept it because a lot of people aren't. Their hearts are hardened, and they're just not going to accept it.
And why would you accept it from people who call themselves Christians and treat them bad and talk bad about them, and just instead of going down there in love and going and praying for them, right, and praying with them.
But you don't know if they're going to accept it until they hear the word, because hearing the word, faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God, and so you have to actually speak the word of God to them, actual scripture verses to them.
Well, everybody wants to just come to church or just tell them you need to go to church or you need God. But how
depends on the church.
Yeah, well,
there's a lot of churches that really don't.
I call churches are like McDonald's. Yeah. You drive by them, and the sign says fast food, but is it really food?
Right.
No, there's no food there. There's no nutritional value. Yeah. You go there, McDonald's. I probably won't beat up McDonald's. But you go there, really, you feel worse than you went in because of the food and no nutrition. So same way with a church. I tell people a church doesn't mean it's God. Just like fast food ain't.
Or it
food.
might make you feel good, but are you really saved? Right. Are you repentant? Are you born again? Do you have Jesus Christ in your life? Are you going to heaven when you die? Because that's what it all boils down to is where you're going.
That's right.
After you pass away. Right.
Yeah.
You're either going to be with Jesus or away from Jesus. Right. And that's
you can go to a church and feel good, and you go to a concert and feel good.
Right.
Doesn't mean you changed. Mm-hmm. That's what repentance means, change the way you think. Quit thinking wrongly and think the right way. So it is. So there's a lot of great things I've seen that I can just testify to, but there's so many.
Mm-hmm. Not bad. Yeah, working with people every day. So what do you see as the biggest problem in Florida right now? Besides homelessness and besides having to minister to people? If that's the biggest problem to you.
That ain't really a problem. That's really our job to do. If us Christians would do that, it wouldn't be a problem. There's a lot, but, just corruption, accountability, but I'll say overdevelopment. As I travel the state, the most frustrated thing I get from people is overdevelopment. We watch developers destroy Florida.
And irresponsible population growth.
100%. I use this example. I got a couple of mottos. I say one's Florida's full, enough is enough, and do not New York my Florida. Right. And they all run together. And we see right now we don't have a voice in Tallahassee. Lobbyists and big corporations are the only ones have a voice in Tallahassee, and we see developers raping and pillaging Florida. They could care less. And when I say do not New York my Florida, you got stock exchange, hedge fund managers, all this that have this money, and just like New York City is nothing but concrete and buildings. That's what their aspect is here, and they don't have no care. They just want to come in and make money for their partners or stockholders and pull out.
It causes gridlock on our roads. It causes flooding, and it depletes natural habitat for wild animals.
Yeah.
You know, we have bears getting in people's garbage every single day in Gulf Breeze, bear sightings.
Yeah.
Because where is their natural habitat?
Yeah.
There's tract homes in their natural habitat. Coyotes eating cats.
Yeah.
My parents' house in Cantonment. That used to be all woods around them. Now it's clear cut, and
Right.
it's the density is still low out there, but everything's clear cut, and so the coyotes don't have a habitat, and the possums and raccoons and everything else, like the thousands of other species that require a forest to live in. Where's our forest?
We don't have that.
They're being clear cut.
Well, we talked about.
I can give example after
I know.
example just in Cantonment and Beulah alone.
Yeah.
That used to be I grew up out there.
Yeah.
So it all used to be forest. I used to be the only person driving down 97 to school. Any local person knows where Highway 97 if you live in Cantonment or if you're familiar. Now it's gridlock.
Yeah.
It's just wall-to-wall traffic, and it's just a two-way little old county highway.
So the biggest problem is overdevelopment. So you think about that. So you talk about gridlock. Mm-hmm. So you got frustration, you got road rage, you got aggravation, you got mental health. All come from overdevelopment. You have people getting sick right now because we don't have the water. They're taking water right now. They're calling it
AI.
Well, even the AI data set. They're taking toilet water, trying to turn it into tap water or whatever, and they're
doing that now.
The government, who we do not trust. Mm-hmm. We've seen that with COVID, right? Mm-hmm. They tell us what they want to hear. Science says this. They're telling science it's good.
Follow the money.
But what's really happening? People are getting sicker every day. We got cancer at higher rates than ever. All this stuff's happened. I use this. When do we look at it as Aaron Brockovich?
Right.
P&G, polluting. When do we look at these developers, what they've done and what they continue to do, what big business continue to do is cause of our sickness and disease, and it accumulates everything.
And the development is kind of on a local level. You have to take each county, each municipality, because there's zoning and density.
Right.
So they're changing the zoning and density. What used to be one house per 5 acres, in certain areas still is, but I don't know if they have sewer up in Cantonment now, but they completely clear, in certain areas they might. Right. They have completely clear cut an entire, I don't know how many acres, but they put 500 houses on this one place that used to be one house per 5 acres. Yeah. And they changed the zoning and density. Clearly, if they didn't change it, we'd still have that habitat for the animals. And
that's one of my goals as governor, and I think maybe a future question you'll ask, but is when I get there is to stop rezoning. That's how you get these developers to stop destroying Florida. Mm-hmm. I mean, I call it Matthew 7:16 as part of my fruit as I run across the stage. You'll know them by their fruit. And not only the fruit of people, but the fruit of what's going on. So the fruit of overdevelopment is, I'll walk in your place was flooded. Mm-hmm. And I ask you, because we're close to the coast, was it a hurricane? And your answer was?
Retention pond.
Which is development.
Yeah, no, my answer was overdevelopment. Yeah, that's what I said.
From a retention pond, whatever, because water can't go nowhere. But then government officials, state officials call it 100-year flood or 1,000-year flood or just something crazy. But the result
they have to explain it away. Yeah. They just have to give it, a name to explain why it happened.
And you have no retribution.
Right. But the house that had been there for 120 years, it had never been flooded prior.
That's right.
But all of a sudden it floods after they build 2 parking lots and a big preschool, and there was a church parking lot that was grass, well, it was dirt and trees. They cut down all the trees and paved over it. Yeah. And after that we flooded. Yep. Yeah.
I see it next door to my house. I own 10 acres, and they built a housing development right next to me. It's 6 foot higher than mine.
Yeah.
I watched them, and luckily during a low area, I kind of seen it, so I dug a pond out there, and during a hurricane, it flooded. If it wasn't for that, my house would have flooded. Mm-hmm. But they don't care.
No, I know.
And so when's enough enough?
They don't care about the historical integrity of what made Pensacola a great city.
What makes Florida Florida?
Right.
So I keep my Florida Florida.
Yeah.
The architecture, the trees, the landscape, the water, the waterways. I mean, right now we got big business coming in. You mentioned AI. They're polluting our waters. And I use this example. So Everglades, I'm glad you said that. So one of my examples is, so who destroyed the Everglades? Mm-hmm. Politicians, big corporations. Who made hundreds of millions of dollars doing that? Politicians, big corporations. Mm-hmm. Now who's paying to restore it? Taxpayers. Billions of dollars we're paying to restore it, but who's making the money? Contractors again. Yeah. And so when's enough? So when do we look at development as the Everglades? Mm-hmm. We've allowed them to destroy that. Now we're trying to recover. So if we keep allowing developers to destroy Florida, guess who's going to pay to fix it? Our taxpayer money.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to have the same developers that destroyed it making money on the back end making it. So that's part of my message. Enough's enough. We're tired of the corporations. We're tired of the raping. We're tired of the pillaging. We're tired of the overdevelopment. The fruit of it is so many issues and so many problems. Y'all can try to justify it all y'all want to, but the fruit of every taxpayer, every Florida citizen, every county I go to, every city I go to, the frustration is the same. You know, enough's enough.
Are enough people frustrated with it?
Oh, 100%. I truly feel that. I mean, really, and that's my biggest, that's not in my heart, but obviously that's kind of the front runner of my campaign is I'm the voice for people. And that's the reason why my ministry and back to fruit, we talk about fruit of what I do is I've been fighting for the people for the last 10 years, feeding them, helping them through COVID, being a blessing, whatever I can do. And that's the fruit of who I am. I actually watched my business go from 7 figures to last year, less than 300,000 because reaching people and changing lives is more important, helping our community than making money. I walked away from money. Money's not important to me. So many times we see politicians in it for the money, right?
Right.
They'll get there, line their pockets.
Like, yeah, they finally get to a certain level, and it's just not enough, which would be more than enough for me.
Well, they go in halfway broke.
Right.
Then they come out richer, and you know what? I mean, I'm not pointing at anybody. Just look at maybe Obama. Obama, when he was a state representative, he was almost broke, and now he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, how does becoming a politician? How does becoming a politician make you rich when you're supposed to have ethics and all this kind of stuff?
I know, because we're not electing the right people. We're not electing the right ethical people who.
Yep. That's the reason why I say look at these guys' fruit. Look at who they are. Look what they're really doing. Because at the end of the day, are they really? Is it we? The people, or is it we, the lobbyists, and we big corporations, is where we're at today?
Yeah, so I don't think we want people who are in it for the money, number one. I mean, everybody has a job. Everybody has to have a job. Everybody has to support their family. But there is, there's a normal amount of money that takes to do, and it doesn't have to be excessive. But people get in their heads that they want an excessive amount of money, and there's no limit. Like they start getting it, they just want more and more and more. They're never satisfied.
Yeah.
So, but it's up to the voters to vote the right people in.
That's right. And you got to look at not only the heart of these people and the fruit of it, but what do they truly want? Like one candidate, one candidate wants
to line their pockets, or do they want to help the people?
Yeah, one candidate wants AI data centers. I don't see how that helps us. One candidate wants another 7 million people to move to Florida. I haven't met one person that said that.
Scary.
I have one person that wants to make our Florida the financial capital of the world, which to me means you want a New York or Florida, and that's what we don't want here in Florida. I mean, and so that's the reason why you really got to look at.
There's not enough space. Okay, New York builds up.
Yeah.
They've got 50-story skyscrapers.
Yeah, but look at the issues. Look at the problems. Look at the crime. Look at the flooding. Look at the subways. Look at all that kind of stuff.
But Florida can't have skyscrapers because we have hurricanes. They wouldn't last.
Well, my thing is this.
I'm getting way off on
No, you're fine. No, it's all runs together. When's enough? So
but what I'm saying, they can't build up, so they have to build out. That means clear cutting more land if they're going to New York or Florida, because you can't build up.
But even think of building up. We don't have the water. You see it right now, the water restrictions. We've had water restrictions for the last 48 years. They're trying right now, whether it's toilet to tap or trying to get brackish water, ocean water. They're trying so many things to keep us with water. And when can they look at it and go, no, we're done. We're full. I use this as a perfect example.
I think we're full now.
If Disney World's full, do they sell more tickets? No, you can't. If you get fire, capacity in a room, you can't let more people in there because you can't safely get them out and fire.
And what happens when you do overcapacitate it?
Yeah.
A disaster.
Disaster happens. Hurricane hits right now. How long does it take people to get out of Florida right now with the hurricanes and stuff? It's crazy. Gridlock. It's insane. People are getting broke down on the side of the road, running out of gas, all this stuff. So to me, Florida's full. We have to stop. We got to quit looking. To me, these cities and counties use growth. And the reason why they do this is because they're so overspent. There's no accountability. As long as they can keep money coming in, it's kind of like having that credit card that you keep building and building. But as long as I got money to make that minimum payment, it's not an issue. But as soon as that hits.
I don't operate that way.
Yeah. But the average American citizen does.
I pay it off every month.
Yeah.
And if I don't have enough money in the bank, it's not going to get spent.
Right.
So people need to know how to run they don't know how to run a budget.
So we got to quit looking at growth and look at sustainability, these cities and governments, and not growth.
We need to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. Waste, fraud, and abuse. Abuse. If we eliminated waste, fraud, and abuse and overdevelopment, we would be okay.
100%. And it's something easy and simple to do. And I can go through the budget. I can go through the governor's budget. I can go through all these cities. And you see Doge right now, Doge in budget. There's so much waste and fraud. I mean, everybody says they don't want to be a socialist country, but they do because they want the government to do everything. You know, well, what if we don't have this? What if we don't have that? Well,
I want personal accountability.
exactly.
I mean, I do like the free enterprise system, and you know, we need businesses. It does take a village because I don't have a garden in my backyard, so I am dependent on farmers and grocery stores. So back to don't New York by Florida is yes, we need small businesses, we need capitalism, we need all that. But capitalism, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, I'm all for capitalism because we are dependent on people. I don't make my own clothes. I buy my clothes. Yeah. You know, I don't grow my own. I don't make my own furniture. I don't grow my own crops. I'm dependent on capitalism. But the issue is New York. So they want New York by Florida is they're monopolization. They're monopolizing everything. So right now, you know, it's one store gets everything and this, and it runs mom and pops out of business, but then they control us, right? So whether it's AI data centers, whether it's the big corporate Amazons coming in, whether it's developers. So the problem with development over the years hasn't been our local developers. It's been these national developers come in and they could care less and they just pile everything over, make it flat, throw as many houses in there as they can, about profits over people, and they pull out. So that's the form of capitalism we don't need. You know, the raping, pillaging, and taking advantage of. We need the small businesses. We need the mom and pops. We need that. That's what's the backbone of this country. But what we're watching is, I mean, right now you said food. We got 4 meat packers in the United States. 3 of them are foreign owned. So one of them's only this. So they control our food. They control the market price. They control everything. You know, it's not a fair market when you only got 3 or 4 monopolization of it. It's like fuel prices right now. There's no reason for me the fuel price should be where they're at. There's no reason it should be $4.79. No excuse. I mean, diesel fuel, $5.50. It's the cheapest gallon, the cheapest fuel they can make. Used to be 99 cents a gallon. It was always half price. But what they did, they got everybody sold on diesel. You know, they got tractor trailers on diesel. Our whole backbone of our economy is ran on diesel. So they jacked the price up, and what can you do? You don't have a voice. You can't do nothing about it. Well, I want to ask you, what is the very first thing you're going to do when you're elected as governor? But we're going to take a commercial break first. So the Thornton Review is a civic engagement show with a purpose to spread awareness by interviewing local elected officials, candidates, and professional leaders. This is information you won't get anywhere else. You can watch the Thornton Review on our various outlets. But first, we're going to take a commercial break. And when we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Bobby Williams, candidate for Florida governor. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button right now. Be sure to like the video and hit the notification bell so you never miss a great guest. We provide this content as a public service, and it helps our channel when you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. You can watch us at our YouTube channel, The Thornton Review, at The Thornton Review 7810, our website, thethorntonreview.com. On Vimeo, please follow The Thornton Review. Please like our Facebook page, The Thornton Review Show, on TV, WBQP Channel 12, and WBQP on Roku and Fire Stick. Company can install any type of fence. When you call and mention the Thornton Review, you'll receive a $100 discount on your fence. They also offer military discounts. Vinyl fence, wood fence, aluminum fence, chain link fence. If it has the word fence, Alpha Fence Company can do it. 850-586-8020. 850-586-8020. Hey everybody, Bobby Williams here, running for governor as a conservative Republican. We got to get back to we the people instead of we the lobbyists and we the big corporations. We got to appoint people on these boards, whether it's electrical, utility, insurance, that's going to have a voice for you. We keep seeing rate increases all across the board. Why? Because the people on these boards really don't have your heart. But for the last 10 years, I run a ministry called the Freedom Toward Food Disaster Relief. Really going out in communities, reaching people to the worst of worst, not just the easiest or the best, but where it was needed. So for the last 10 years, we put over 100 million pounds of product. If you had to buy, that's 350 million gift in kind into our community for free.
not asking for taxpayers to pay for anything. It was about being a blessing. That's my heart. That's my heart for the people. I've worked with over 500 different agencies and ministries across the state of Florida in these worst times. While other guys were social distancing, masking, not wanting to show up, taking shots, I was out in the streets feeding over 1,500 people a day. That's what I want to continue to do for Florida. Bring this experience to Floridians, to the taxpayers, so we can better Florida. Because Florida's full. We've had enough. We had enough corruption. We have enough waste. We have enough of fraud. We've had enough of developers destroying Florida. We've had enough of our waters being destroyed. So that's experience I want to bring to Florida, to be a blessing to Florida.
Thank you for tuning in to the Thornton Review. We're going to continue our discussion with Bobby Williams, candidate for Florida governor. So Bobby, it's really nice to have you on the show. I've enjoyed our conversation so far. I want to ask you, what is the very first thing that you will do when you are elected governor of Florida?
Stop overdevelopment. Put either moratorium on it or stop rezoning. However legislative we can do that, because that's the hugest problem right now in Florida.
So you mentioned the Everglades earlier. What exactly is going to, did they ruin the Everglades somehow? Is it polluted, or did they build on it?
A little bit of everything. They put dams, rivers, they straightened rivers out, trying to flow water better. Then they, moved water where it shouldn't go. Thought they knew. Then actually, water used to run down Florida and it would flood all of Florida. Well, they made it where it stopped, went out both sides. Mm-hmm. So all the Everglades went dry. So our aquifer, everything that feeds down, their pump water's coming in and going to the ocean so fast that it don't really. It's made to really, get down to our lower aquifer, get down to our water system. And they try to divert water. Man thinks it's smarter than God.
Right. So what all natural habitat was? I mean, I don't want to get off too much into a scientific thing, but I know alligators.
Yeah, alligator, birds. There's so much. I mean, just rabbits. Everything. Our whole. It's a huge ecosystem by itself. Mm-hmm. You think of the Amazon forest. It's kind of what it is. Mm-hmm. It's just so much there. Mm-hmm. And it's just. Without the ecosystem, we've been taught that, wheel of life. One's got to eat another, or you start seeing species die off and different things. So,
yeah. So I talked to another candidate who said that we need, conservation areas. So it sounds like the rest of it's going to be clear cut, and we're going to have these tiny little forests, like the coyotes in Cantonment are not going to make it to the Osceola Forest.
Right.
Where are they going to go?
That's me. That's the reason why enough's enough. We can't keep doing what we're doing and expect wildlife to do that. I mean, It's funny because I watch. There's a piece right down the road from me. It's a 10-acre piece, and it's a preserve by, I don't know, it's national, federal something, but the federal government has it preserved. Good. And there's a corridor that runs down. Mm-hmm. They just put development there. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? They're cutting off. They don't have all the pieces all the way tied. They're trying to work on that, but they're not tied together. So it's just like, now you see deer, bear on the side of the road, everything being hit.
Oh, I saw a Florida panther, when we were driving to Ocala Springs in February this year. Yeah, saw two of them on the side of the road. I was driving. My mom, my dad was. They were alive.
Okay, wow.
My dad was in the passenger seat. My mom was in the back seat, not paying attention. Like every time we're driving somewhere with my son, I'm like, pay attention to your surroundings. And he's like on his phone.
Yeah.
But
that'd be pretty cool.
Because I like to look and see, even if it's boring at times, there's going to be something that pops up that you want to see.
I've been to the national
traveling.
National Forest 3 times. I've seen bears. I've been traveling many times. 3 times I've seen bears.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. But how many times do you see them on the side of the road?
Move to Gulf Breeze and you'll see them in your backyard.
Right.
It's a regular occurrence.
That's because
there's
nowhere
they've clear cut Gulf Breeze.
Yeah.
And there used to be bears in the forest. Now there's no forest.
Yeah.
Now they're in people's backyards. And so, the governor had a bear hunting season for about a week a few months ago. It's kind of sad. I don't know if any were killed in Gulf Breeze.
Well, I say everything's got to have game management in some sense, but it ain't till it's bad off. You know what I'm saying? It gets to a point where, and man shouldn't do that, you go to Texas sometimes, there's so many deer that you see them skin and bones, and, because there's nothing to eat, there's so many.
Right.
So you got to have some sort of game management. But I don't believe it. I get asked that question a lot. I don't think we're at a place where bears need to be hunted in Florida, because just because man wants to keep destroying their habitat.
Right. And I don't think there's ever been a bear attack on a person.
No, I don't think I've heard
But
that.
but there are coyotes in Cantonment that eat chickens
Right.
and cats. Because we've done our chickens have been eaten and our cats
Yeah.
disappear, and we've seen coyotes, and so we know that's what it is.
And that's a perfect idea of game management. So like coyotes, even hogs,
Mhm.
they breed so fast and rapidly, you have to game manage that.
Mhm.
I don't see that with bears. You know what I'm saying? Bear might have one or two, then, you know, it's
Yeah.
territorial, then, that
Well,
kind
the
of stuff.
problem is the overdevelopment.
Oh, 100%. It's a huge issue in Florida, and nobody's talking about it. There may be one or so, maybe
I'm talking about it.
I'm talking about governor candidates, but yeah, everybody talks about it, the whole Florida. But I'm talking about these other guys. Yeah, back to fruit. What are their donors?
Yeah, well, who are their donors? Are they developers?
That's right.
You know,
Yeah.
that's scary because
They're the candidate. 60% of his money is out of state money.
Mhm.
That's showing you that seat's not being voted in; it's being bought in.
Yeah.
And that should scare us. That should scare us
It
as a
does.
society, as voters. You know, when does even the news media does the wrong thing? Oh, he raised all this money, so he's a head candidate. That should scare you.
Yeah.
Because one thing I want to see is I know it's not always possibly the level playing field, but I want to see where you should have no PACs in Florida.
Yes.
You know, you should have 0 PACs.
Yeah.
You should be able to raise money per citizen,
yeah.
not per entity.
Yeah.
Because right now, as a governor, you can do 3,000 per entity. Well, so and so can own 10 businesses.
Yeah.
That's 30 grand.
Yeah.
Then him and his wife, that's 36,000 they can write. No, I want to see it to where they have to do like me. You know, I don't have the big entities because I'm not bought. I'm having to travel the state. It's $5 here, $20 there, $50 here. You get a couple 500s, whatever. But it's just small amounts here and there. And everyone should have to do that because they should have to see people. People should be able to see their face. Not so and so endorsed me, so he endorsed me. Now I've got hundreds of millions of dollars coming in. So I just run around the state and I'm the next elected official. How is that right for the American taxpayer or Florida taxpayer?
Right.
You know, we got to get PACs out of there. I want to get lobbyists out of Tallahassee. Lobbyists shouldn't have a right to any senator, any congressman, any governor, any representative at all. The senators or state representatives should have to go to the people. They should have to walk to communities, town hall meetings, and get what's the voice of the people, not sit in their office and a lobbyist come in and go, this is what I want, that's what we're going to push through legislation. You know, that's where it's going. Enough's enough. We're tired of the corruption, we're tired of the fraud, we're just, we're frustrated and aggravated. We need somebody who's going to be a voice for the people. You know, everybody wants, the problem is everybody wants somebody that's endorsed by Trump. Instead, we need people like Trump, you know what I'm saying, that has that heart for people, that's not being bought, that's in it for the right reasons. Not, I hate these endorsements. I don't even think a candidate should be able to endorse somebody, you know what I'm saying? They should have to go out there and win the vote, And I think people are smart enough today to see that.
There are candidates in other states that Trump has endorsed that haven't won.
Right.
And I support President Trump.
Amen.
I agree with pretty much everything he does. There are certain things that I don't agree with, like
exhibit sometimes.
Yeah. Well, like I never got my son vaccinated. I was vaccinated growing up, but as I grew and in my early adulthood, I heard somewhere that vaccination causes autism, and I guess that was a conspiracy theory back then. But
it's not the fruit of it.
Well, I started
we have autism more now than ever.
I started looking at that back in the early '90s. I started looking at the ingredients in vaccinations, and it's atrocious.
Yeah,
it's the marisol, mercury, formaldehyde, aborted fetuses. They grow it on monkey testicles. I mean, it's just crazy what they do.
Well, they poison your body. That's all they're doing.
Right. And they give you I don't know how many shots before the 3rd grade for diseases that won't even kill you or disable you.
Yeah.
And
that's what I'm for, the medical freedom. I don't think you should, if you don't want to take a shot, you shouldn't have to. I remember my daughter, she's 23 now, and but going to school, my wife will call me and say, I'm at a doctor, they're telling us we need these and we should get these. I said, we should get nothing. You got to get what we have because she has to go to school. Besides that, we don't take nothing.
People are raised so Trump is my parents' age, thereabout. And my parents get the flu shot every year, and they're into vaccines. They got the COVID vaccine. I don't know. I mean, my dad has had health issues, and I don't know if it's because of the COVID vaccine. I really don't know. But they are of the generation that you have to get vaccinated. They grew up. They had maybe 5 shots before they were in the 3rd grade, not 37.
And you have to go to the doctor.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
I laugh all the time.
And
I
they
got
trust the
doctors.
doctor.
Why do I go to doctor? I don't go. I ain't been a doctor in 10, 15 years. That's the last thing I'm going to do is go to a doctor. I mean, because I make this joke, but it's true. Above their door it says what? Practice.
Yeah.
I'm not going
I
to
know they're practicing on you.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's no like scientific proof that's going to work because your body might accept what they're doing a different way.
You have an immune system for a reason. God created us with an immune system, so you get things and you get the flu, but then your body learns that But a lot of it's from what we eat, how we treat our bodies, and all that kind of stuff. Poisonous.
I know. I've had COVID like 6 times. I don't get a cold anymore.
Yeah.
I get full blown COVID.
Right.
I can tell.
Yeah.
The first time I got it, I thought I was going to die. I thought I could possibly die.
Right.
I didn't think I was dying.
It feels like
I thought that I could possibly die. I felt like my kidneys were shutting down.
Right.
And so I did go to the emergency room and they
Right.
gave me the IV, but I had it for a good 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It was terrible. It was the
Right.
Delta. It was in 2021. And then after that, I've gotten it almost, I guess every year, maybe sometimes twice a year, but it's not nearly as severe, but it's the same symptoms, just not as severe. So I know it's COVID. I'm not going to go get tested.
Right.
But I can tell
Yeah.
nothing else feels like it.
Yeah.
It feels like, how it looks like the virus looks like a sand spur almost.
Right.
I can feel it all over my body. I can feel it in my joints and every tissue of my body.
Right.
And my my organs. I can feel it.
Wow.
It's really yeah. It's not fun. And it bedrids me for about 3 weeks every time I have it. And I haven't had, knock on wood, I haven't had a cold since.
Right.
But that's a very strange man-made virus they did.
Yeah.
Fauci did.
Right. Yeah.
That pandemic.
Yeah.
That was really bad.
Well, it just shows you how corrupt our government is.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I say this as I crisscross the state, you got to have good, godly men and women running for these seats. Because we've been told for too long that we win at the ballot box, and we don't.
Okay, so as much as I admire Trump and agree with him, he was pushing the vaccine when
he shut us down.
He didn't know.
Right.
He didn't know what was going
to
on.
people, that kind of stuff.
Right.
I mean, because a lot of times people get on really Biden shut them, but really it started at Trump and then his administration.
But there's such a huge population that is for vaccines. We need vaccines, and people get their kids vaccinated every
My dad's the same way. He's at the doctor every month, all this kind of stuff. And he's got
a lot of people are.
All this medicine, all that medicine, all this kind of stuff.
And they probably haven't had any adverse reactions. They maybe haven't.
Well, you get one medicine, does something, so they give you another medicine. Next thing you know, you got 5 or 10 medicines. They all fight each other back and forth, and I'm just like, when's enough enough? I mean, it's a racketeering market. It's pharmaceuticals. You know?
Yeah. I think a lot of illnesses are a cumulative effect.
Yeah.
A cumulative of environment and things that you're putting in your body.
Right. Yep. And water we drink.
Yeah.
I mean, right now the
chemicals in food.
Chemicals in water, all this stuff.
Additives. Yeah.
That's the reason why I think they find Kennedy right now over all his.
I'm all for the Maha movement.
Yeah. You got
Absolutely.
it.
Make America healthy again.
It's
we need to watch what we eat.
And that's even the MAGA, Make America Great Again. People think that's Trump. That was Reagan started that. You know what I'm saying? That was way back then. And really MAGA.
He embraced it though and really made it something.
Well, I'm saying, but it's it's not really a Trump movement. This is American citizen. I mean, what's wrong with making America great again? You know what I'm saying? Because that's me. I'm against any kind of foreign influence. I mean, somebody told me this one time, and I thought he was going to go the wrong direction with it. But he said, "I'm not America first." I'm like, "Oh, here we go." He said, "I'm America only." That's it.
Yeah.
And that's where we got to be. America only, where we put American citizens first.
Protect our borders.
Protect our borders.
Number one.
To where we have. No foreign influence at all,
No invasions.
And we got to quit money laundering, these wars from Ukraine to every one of them. I mean, we know what it is. It's corruption at its worst.
Yeah.
And we got to get where we take care of American citizens first. That's the reason why I agree with the tariffs, because why should a big company, New York company, be able to go over to China and get free labor, better labor, Mexico, all then ship it back in the United States cheaper than we can build it here? Should be a level playing field. You know what I'm saying? It should cost them more to go to China, or even, your phone bank, you call Verizon Wireless and it's a Indonesia, whatever, you don't know where it's at. They won't even tell you. Why should they be able to do it cheaper over there than we can do it here? You know what I'm saying? We're losing jobs, Who's making that money? These big corporations. So that's just part of the enough's enough. Right.
I agree. America first.
Yeah.
I believe in protecting our First Amendment rights.
100%.
I don't think that we should abuse that right.
No.
You can't just lie and say what you want to say, but we do have a freedom of speech and expression. Our Second Amendment rights. I believe in open carry. I believe in constitutional
100%.
carry. I really don't want someone who is known to be dangerous or known to have mental health issues or drug problems. Maybe they shouldn't have that right, but a law-abiding citizen that's doing what he's supposed to do, raising his family or her family,
Right.
needs to be able to protect their family.
Well, it's what,
and
it ain't just protect our family, it's what protects us from our government.
The government, I know.
If we didn't have that right,
it's been abused. That right has been abused. Look at the Wild West. They were having gunfights and shooting each other out, taking the law into their own hands because they didn't like the person or didn't like it. And you can see it on TV. That's how I know about it. It's old Western movies that my dad watches.
Right.
But that right was
that's
very abused.
It's from tyranny of our government. If they ever got our guns, they would take over the nation. I mean, you see it. If the Biden administration would have kept on, another 4 years of that kind of administration, where would we be at today? Bad. The only thing that keeps us free is our rights. That Second Amendment right. You know what I'm saying? As long as we have that, it makes us the largest army really in the world. And that's very important to me. You got to keep that right. You got to have that right. And like I said, just not to protect your family. It's protect us from that law was never put in really to protect our family, even hunt and fish. It was to protect us from a tyranny government, right, which we've seen in our just here recently.
And protecting our borders from invasion.
100%. You need to have that. The sad thing is, we get caught up in the Biden administration did a horrible job in that, open the border. But I hate to say this, Florida's had borders since it's been established. We've got water, we've got land, but we've allowed. I mean, I make fun of, the border war in a sense of protect our borders. We've had drugs in the war on drugs for the last 30 years. How's that worked out for us? We've got Coast Guard. We've got the greatest Navy, the greatest Air Force, all this stuff. And we're in Pensacola.
It's like there's an area of government that's letting it sneak.
Exactly. I mean,
they're turning a blind eye on purpose. They're letting it sneak in to keep
whether it's conspiracy theories or not. You look at the movies, American Made with Barry, what's his name? CIA was involved. They're involved in drug running and all this. And they say conspiracy theory, but what's the fruit of it? How can you tell me we're the greatest military in the world, we're the greatest government supposedly, and we still allow these drugs to come in and out? It's got to be government ran. It's got to be. I mean, you have to. It's just there's too much corruption in here. We've had borders in Florida, and we still have sex trafficking, drug trafficking, all this stuff still happens in Florida. How can that be?
Somebody's
all paid for it.
Yeah.
That's the reason why the governor role is so important, especially right now. Where I hate to see where Florida's going. And I don't mean this the wrong way. It's just I know my heart, I know my character, I know who I am, and I know the reason why I'm running for governor. And I know some of these other guys. If I don't win governor, I hate to see where Florida's going to be in 4 to 8 years. From overdevelopment and all the other stuff that goes with it.
What type of business experience do you have?
So I run a business for 25 years, so I'm with a low voltage electrical company. But really, when you talk about politics, so during COVID and hurricanes, I worked with over 500 different agencies, ministries. We work with sheriff's office, police officers, county officials, city officials, getting products into these municipalities and cities, logistically coordinate them. Like I said, we moved over 100 million pounds. So I'm handling everything from it coming from a major corporation to being delivered to a church or something, and even between there and handling all that. So we work with all these sheriffs. I'm on an EOC at our county. So like when Hurricane Milton come in 2024, I handled 10.5 million pounds. Everything that come in the county come through me.
Pounds of what?
Just water, MREs, tarps, all this kind of stuff. Everything you think of a hurricane.
Okay.
So 10.5 million pounds. So everything that come through me. Then what we would do is we would distribute it logistically, handle it the county, which freed up the city and the counties and all that kind of stuff.
So you're kind of orchestrating and managing where things go and how much goes to where and who gets it and who's distributing it. So you're kind of the guy orchestrating this whole massive.
Yes, we've done that from COVID. I was getting stuff the state and government couldn't even get. I was getting the Clorox 360, the hand sanitizer, the wipes, by the truckloads. They were doing 10 to 20 semi-loads a day sometimes, and then the food on top of that. So it's just, I've worked with government since COVID, during a shutdown and hurricanes, and still do that today. So it's just, for me, it's about, I'm blessed to be a blessing. But
absolutely.
So I work with them. Even today, we work with sheriff's department. We work with sheriff's departments today. We work with school boards today. So we work with schools to create programs to make our kids better. I think we need to revamp the whole education system, K through 12. That's horrible, just testing. We get life skills back in there, trade skills. But what I do is I work with our schools. We created liaisons in Polk County to better our school system to where kids want to do after school programs. How do you get them to show up? How do you get them to show up for tutoring? So we give them free stuff. We give them Gatorade, sports drinks, snacks, chips, free prime, whatever to get them to come.
Taking care of them.
They don't participate.
So it was very nice interviewing you. We're about to have to wrap it up. Do you have any closing statements?
Yes, ma'am. It's it's about accountability. You got to look at these guys' character, look at who they are. What have they done for the state? What are they going to do? We've had too much evil. We got to get godly men and women in these seats, and the governor's seat's so important. Is character, because enough's enough. Florida's full. Do not New York my Florida. And at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to.
And you have the experience and the wherewithal to know how to manage budgets, know how to manage departments, and know how to manage people. And you would have a cabinet that is delegated to the tasks of carrying things out.
Yeah, we've done that for the last 10 years, from hurricanes to COVID to everyday ministries, working with schools and sheriffs, departments, counties, cities, all that kind of stuff. So yes, ma'am.
Interesting. Well, it was great to meet you. It's great to have you on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
The Thornton Review is on the air to provide public service awareness and intellectual infrastructure to our community. The show was made possible by Larry Downs Jr. Plumbing, Ida Gates, Godly Teas LLC, Alpha Fence Company, and our guest, Bobby Williams, candidate for Florida governor. It was really nice to have you on. And we want to thank you for watching this episode of the Thornton Review. Bye-bye.